Good morning. Welcome. Today is day 6 of the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. How is everybody doing? Welcome. My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And on this channel, we are pretty much all vanilla all the time. We are just in our first, well, we're really just in our first, wrapping up almost our words, Angela, our first week of the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. Today is obviously the 6th. We are going to work on something called a toast notification. I'm having so much fun so far. It's like I'm not even, I was very worried about this whole streaming for 30 days, but I think I'm going to be just fine, although we're only on day 6. Well, technically this is day 7 because we had a day 0 that started March 31st with a deployment, but still, I'm here for it. I'm having so much fun. I'm learning a lot. Started with just the most kind of basic of tasks, which was a button counter. And now we've worked up to, we've done accordions, tabs. What else did we do? Hang on. Let's look. Let's look here. What else did we do? Oh yeah, we did the character count text area limit. We did the accordion, we did a modal dialogue. Yesterday we did this tabs component. And if you were here for this, wow, it was a good time. I did a little light refactoring after the stream. Teeny tiny bit, just a little cleanup. So if you felt, if this was something where you felt like you might use this for one of your own projects, just keep in mind that there were a couple small changes after the stream yesterday, but I'm so happy with how this turned out. It's accessible. It looks great. Yeah, I'm really happy. So this was a lot of fun. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. Today we are working on this thing called a toast notification system. So I know what this is. I did not know that it was called a toast notification system. So I think we see these all over the place. Right away, what jumps out to me, and I don't see it anymore on LinkedIn, but what I feel like I used to see this all the time on LinkedIn, like when you, if somebody was requesting to be part of your network and you accepted the request, or if you're like me and you log into LinkedIn once a month and you have like 10 requests, I would accept them all. And then these little notifications would stack up down in the corner and they would never go away. I had to clear all 10 of them. So annoying. I think they stopped doing it because I tried to duplicate that and there were no notifications. So maybe they finally got rid of that. So we're going to style a toast notification that will pop up in the lower left-hand corner. Here's the JavaScript focus. So ChatGPT is giving, I asked ChatGPT to help me organize this project. ChatGPT knows me and knows my coding skills pretty well. There was a little bit of back and forth, but it did a pretty good job of starting out with easy things and then things that progressively get a little more difficult. I also kind of went back in my own memory thinking about things that I've built over the years that I would like to include. So the things that I'm really looking the most forward to are the social sharing buttons, which we actually just did. I mean, I had done this a couple years ago, and then we just did it on a project that we finished. I think it was the Scenic project. So we sort of have this code tucked away. So we're going to recycle some of that code, which is what you should be doing as a developer. You should be tucking things away, thinking in your mind like, oh, I worked on that a year ago or 6 months ago. Where is that? I can use that again. So we're definitely going to do that. I also, it was also my idea to do a GDPR cookie banner. I did that a couple years ago as well. So I'm looking forward most to the social sharing buttons and the GDPR cookie banner. There's a lot of things here where I'm like, ooh, aggressive. There's a lot happening here, but it's okay. It's okay. We're just on day 6. I feel like I'm already learning so much. Things are clicking, but it helps also that I'm doing this every single day. I do think that if you really want to learn something, you have to practice a little bit every single day. And of course, everything's just like a little mini project, right? Okay, so toast notification system. The focus is today creating elements. We know how to do that. Injecting content. We also know how to do that. Timers. I've heard of that. Have I done a timer, like a set timeout? I'm pretty sure it's a set timeout. Yeah, I've done set timeouts before, but I wouldn't say that I'm like a super expert at it. So we're going to learn how to do it today. And then removing DOM nodes. Yeah, I've done that before. Okay, so nice extras. Success, error, or info variance, like styles. So maybe we have different types of buttons. I don't know. Let's just get one thing working. We'll just get one thing working, right? Close button. Okay, so if it's on a set timeout, why does it need a close button? I'm not sure. If we have variance, it doesn't matter. So I think what I'm thinking of is that we would let's get one working, and then maybe we could create additional buttons, right? So we have a success button, an error button, an info variant, and then multiple stacked toasts. That's easy, right? Because that's CSS. The MDN prep. Okay, so create element. Let's just open these up. Append. Yes. What is it that I like to use? What is it called? What is it? It's not append. It's instance methods append. Oh, why can't I remember that? It's like, hang on. Before and insert adjacent HTML. So we'll try append for sure, but I think this should also be an option. Remove, set timeout. Okay, here's set timeout. Remove. I know how to do remove. And template literals. I know template literals, so I'm not sure we're really going to need this. That's one of the few things I understand. So, okay, and then here is our notification. And then where is our markup? Right here. Right here. So we would have a button and a div. We've got some ARIA attributes here. ARIA polite live, ARIA atomic true. We looked this up. Maybe let's look that up. ARIA atomic. I don't remember what that is. Oh, are we typing? ARIA. I mean, we probably don't have to do anything, but I'm just like, well, what is that? I don't remember. The global ARIA atomic attribute indicates whether assistive technologies such as a screen reader will present all or only parts of the changed region based on the change notifications defined by the ARIA relevant attribute. Okay, so I might ask ChatGPT to explain that a little better. This is not immediately making sense, but I'm feeling famous last words. I'm feeling good about today's task. I'm hoping that it's a little less complex than yesterday's task. Yesterday took a good 3.5 hours, but I'm obviously happy with what we did yesterday. So there's that. Let's say hello to the chat. Malik is here. Go Elmo. Here's our mod in the chat. And Jan is here. Jan Mick Creatives is here. Good evening. I hope you are well and everyone is doing well. I am doing well. Thank you. And that's it. That's it. You know what? I like a nice quiet chat. I like a busy chat. I like a quiet chat. The chat is great. The chat is great. So, okay. They're not all bangers. And what I mean by that is sometimes when I'm streaming, the chat is just like going off and I love it. And there's lots of questions and people ask me about things that I love talking about related to development and AI or freelancing or how to get your first job. I love those questions. And then there are days that are quiet and those are just fine as well. So there's that. Angela, you're talking too much. Let's just go. Okay. Oh, maybe this is a good time really quick before we get started. Do me a favor, like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new here. I would love to have you. I am generally here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, but of course, here every day in April for the JavaScript. Okay, now we're going to go. So let's start with, so what's our strategy? Click a button to show a toast message that disappears after a few seconds. So we would click this button and we would show this right here. And this has no content inside of it. So if we put content inside of it, presumably we would see that on the page. Yes. So I think the first thing that we need to do is decide what our content is. And if we know that we're going to have to do a success, error, or an info variant, let's start with an info variant. Let's make our toast message informational to start with. So we'll give this a little heading. Let's give it an H3. So we'll call this the info toast notification. And then we'll just do a paragraph and we'll just do like a little bit of lorem ipsum, like 15 words. Let's do less. We'll do a little less content. Okay, so let's style now this. And I think that we need to add an additional class here. So these will be toast regions, and then this can be the info. So then we would have maybe 3 of these. And this would be info, success, oops, info, success, and we'll call this error. So now we have 3 ways to target these, right? So let's style these quickly because there's no point in writing any JavaScript if they don't do anything. Let's find a place to start here. I'm going to go right here. So this is the toast notifications. Oops. So our buttons are styled. So we have this section also. Let's give this a toast notification. So this will be our parent container. And we want the toast notifications to be fixed against the entire HTML document, against the entire page, right? So we don't, when you use position fixed, you don't need to use, you don't need to have a parent or a grandparent with position relative. You can just use position fixed. So let's style the toast region, and then these will all be stacked. So we'll say position fixed. We'll say bottom 1 rem, left. I'm going to put it in the lower left hand corner, 1 rem. And then we need to make sure that the thing itself is has a size, right? So let's just give it a width of 300 pixels and a height of, honestly, a height of auto, so it fits the content, right? I think that'll be okay. Let's make sure that this is, no, we're using bottom left, so we don't need inset. We've got a height and a width. I don't think that I have to have a fixed height. We'll find out. I don't think this, if this was absolute, I think it would collapse, but I think this will be okay. We'll find out. We could also do min height if we have to. Let's give it a little padding. We'll give it 1 rem of padding. I'm going to give it a border of 2 pixels, solid. I'll make it white. We'll give it a background color of, what should our background color be? I think it should be different from our page color. Should we do a black notification with white text? Yeah, then we don't have to switch colors for the different pages. So we'll say color white. Let's see here, I probably need some Z index. Where are you? Honestly, not sure what the Z index is. Okay, good. So these should be all stacked now. Hang on, let me take myself off. Nope. Actually, I'm going to put this in the other corner. Yeah, I'm going to put this in the other corner. So let's change this to the right corner, because that's easier for me. There we go. Okay. So let's make sure hang on. Okay. So here's the info. So if I say, how do I want to do this? I probably just want to do an active class, right? So how do we hide something? We would say visibility hidden, and I'm going to use opacity 0. But if it's active, we'll see it. So we would say toast region active. I keep using active like it's not going to interfere with anything else. I'm waiting for that to bite me in the ass. Let's see. So this would be active. It would be visibility visible and opacity 1. So they're not active. So we should be able to come in here and just do active. There it is. And then we should be able to do this one as well. So I'm going to take the active off. And then this is our, oh, they all say, let's see here. So this is the info. This is the success. Oh, you know what we should do? We should just use green and red, right? Success green, error red, and then the black could just be the info. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, and then, so our default will be the info, which will have a black background. And then we'll do the toast region success background color. I'm just going to say green. We'll have to check the accessibility. I'm not saying that this is accessible right now. We'll do that afterwards. Let's just get it working. And then we'll say error. And we'll say red. And that's going to make it a lot easier just to make sure it's working. Okay. So we should be able to come in here and do this. Yes. And then we should be able to come in here and do this. Yep. And they're stacked, right? And then we can come in here and do this. So there's the red. So this one's on the bottom, success is in the middle, errors on the top. Okay, that works. We'll refine that styling a little bit too. Let's also make sure how do we want to do this? So structurally, how do we want to do this? So this would be show, I'm going to say show the info toast. And then I think we would also want to have one for the success, one for the error. We probably want to do ARIA control. Do we not want to do ARIA controls? I feel like we would want to do an ARIA controls, right? And then give our ID, give our region an ID. Yeah. So and I don't think we need an ID for the button. I wouldn't use an ID. Well, I mean, I can still use an ID in the JavaScript. That's not the problem. But I think that there's a better way to target this if I'm going to do an ARIA controls. So I think I would do ARIA controls. And then this would have an ID. And I would call this info toast. And then I would call this one, I would give this one an ID of info or of success toast. And then I would give this an ID of error toast. And then we're doing an ARIA controls info toast, ARIA, whoops, controls success toast, ARIA controls error toast. Oh, am I supposed to be creating elements and injecting content? Okay, that's fine. We will totally do this, but I have to know what the markup is first before I can do this, right? Totally fair. So we can use the IDs to create a loop for the buttons, and then on click, if the ARIA control success toast matches the ID success toast, then we would add I feel like we would add an active class to the button. Do we have to add an active class to the button? Does that matter? Does the button need an active class? I don't know. We may have to, what's the expected behavior? If you click the button, you trigger the toast. What's the expected behavior of the button? Are you able to continue triggering? I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, let's just get something working. Let's just get it working. Okay, so we have a way to match up our button to our div, which is also accessibility screen reader friendly. I don't think we need any additional containers around these items. Like the button and the div don't rely on a parent container saying active or anything like that. My plan is that we click the button and that we add an active class to the div, which is the style that will show it. We've already done some loose styles. I think we do need to add a button to the container to be able to dismiss it though, right? I feel like that's one of our assignments. So a close button, which will remove the DOM nodes. Yeah. So let's add a close button. So I feel like we could just add this. Let's just put it here, and we can style this any way we want. So this will be type equals button class. Let's call this an icon button, and we'll put in an SVG. We do need an ARIA label of close info toast, close info toast, and then I know we have an SVG. Here's our close SVG. And we'll make sure this is ARIA hidden true. All right, so let's style this quickly. I'll add it to each one. And this is the close error toast. Excuse me. Close success toast and close the info toast. So we'll just style the icon button relative to the toast region. All right, we got this. So I'm going to say toast region icon button. We'll go ahead and make one of these active. Where are we here? So there's our button. We'll put it right here, right up here in the left-hand corner. Do we want it outside the box, or does it need to be inside the box? Let's do ourselves a favor, shall we? Honestly, the styling is going to be so much easier if we just take this and put it. Can we put the button before the H3? I think we can do that. I don't think there's semantically a problem with that. We're just giving people an option to close immediately, right? Also, it's going to help with focus. and it's not going to force people to read all of the content before they have the option to close. Although if they're tabbing, okay, perfect. So let's this well, if I change it to absolute. Oh, Angela. The indecision. It's strong today. Okay, our button is 48 by 48. That's perfect. Let's just make it. I don't know. I'm getting decision fatigue. Okay, so I'm going to do position absolute. So we'll make the region, the toast region is already fixed. So if I do position absolute on the button, it will automatically be relative to the toast region. I'm pretty sure that's right. So we'll do position absolute, and I'm going to say top 0, left 0. I might pull that out a little bit out of the container. I'm going to give this a border of 2 pixels, solid, and I'll just say white for now, and then a border radius of 50%. And then let's just scooch it up out of the corner a little bit, and we'll adjust our padding on the notification. Let's also adjust the color of that SVG, and I'm pretty sure our SVG has some inline colors. So my recommendation is anytime you're working with SVGs, check to see if there's an inline color. This does not have a fill, it has a stroke. So we're going to take out the current color value, and that will make it a lot easier for you to style your SVGs. There we go. And globally, I have my SVGs styled as either red or blue. So if you put in an SVG, if you do what I do here for some global styling, if you don't see red or blue, you know that there's an inline color and you're not able to style. You're not able to change the fill or the stroke of your SVG. So the black was the first indication that I had an inline color. Now that I've removed it, my SVGs are blue, which means that this particular SVG takes a stroke. So that's just a way to, that's just a quick way for me to know what I'm working with. So we'll go ahead and change the stroke to white. And I'm also going to adjust this. So let's say -1 rem and -1 rem. There we go. Actually going to just pull that up a little bit, and then we'll give it a background color of, black. So there's our toast notification right there. I actually think that looks pretty good. What if we just did a background color of, well, it already was transparent. Trying to avoid doing a bunch of page specific colors for some of these smaller elements, because I'm just getting tired of doing that. So this will be black for the info. And then we'll go ahead and check the other ones, make sure they look okay. So now we have a close button also. So we've got 2 buttons. That was part of the assignment, a close button. So we've already done the extras: success, error, info, close button, multiple stacked toasts. We're on fire today. There we go. There's our success. I think we can stick with our black button. And then here's our error. There's our error toast. Yeah, we're good with that. Let's make sure that we have some styles like a focus hover active for the button. So we'll just do this real quick. We're just about done with the styles. We are just about done with the styles. And we will get to our JavaScript. So we're going to do focus, hover, active, and we will change our background color. Right now it's black. So we'll change our background color to, we'll just invert, because that's the easiest. The background color to white. We'll change our border color to black. And let's make sure that we have a transition for those. So we'll do border color 300 milliseconds. Ease in out is my preferred timing. And then we'll do background color. Whoops. 300 milliseconds. Ease in out. There we go. We'll do the same thing for our SVG. If we're inverting the color, we'll invert that to black. So I'm actually going to copy these. And when we focus on the button, we trigger the SVG. Hover on the button, trigger the SVG. If the button is active, we trigger that SVG. And then we change the stroke from white to black. We'll also want to transition that or animate it. So we'll do stroke 300 milliseconds, ease in out. So now we should see, there we go. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like I said, decision fatigue. Okay, so we have basic styles now. We have basic styles now for our message. You know what else I want to do? There's a lot of space down here at the bottom. Also, should we test the amount of content to make sure? I think our height auto is working just fine, but let's test the amount of content. I also want to remove the margin. There's margin on the paragraph tag. So let's just gonna do this. Toast notification, margin 0. There we go. It's a little tidier. And then what if we had a little extra content in there? I just want to do a teeny tiny little test to make sure that we are actually supporting that height. Yeah, so you can see I put it, so they're still stacked. That's great, but the height is adapting to the amount of content. So I'll take that out. Oh, hang on, I did this wrong. That's what I meant to do. Yeah, okay, that works. Okay, just a little experiment, just double checking my work. Okay, so now we have stacked content. We have everything styled. We have an open button. We have a close button. We know that when we click the open button, we are going to add an active class. So and then we have, okay, and then we have our 3 buttons right here. Excellent. So, are we ready? I think we're ready. Okay. So we need to do this 3 times. So, okay, Angela, just do it. Hang on. So this is what we're going to create. We're going to do this 3 times. We need to update so what's unique here? The content in the word info. We already have our button. So we just have to match up the ARIA controls to the ID. So is it better to do, I'm just thinking for the ARIA controls, is it better to do this? It's going to be easier, I think, if we do that. Instead of the camel case. Okay, so here's our 3 buttons. So we are literally updating the ARIA controls, which is actually the ID. So this is our example right here. So we would be updating info here, and info here. And then we would be adding the word active. We would be adding the class active if it's active. But if we're creating the element, okay, so let me ask you this. If we're creating the element, do we need an active class? If the element's created, it can just exist. If it's not created, then it doesn't exist, right? So maybe we don't need to do all of this active stuff, because if the element's being created, it doesn't matter if it's active, right? So I'm gonna see if my theory is right here. I don't think we need to add an active class. It's either exists or it doesn't. And if it doesn't exist, if we haven't created the element yet, then it doesn't matter. Right? I think I'm right about that. Okay. So our template literals would be the ID, the button, ARIA label, and the H3. Those are going to be our template literals. So we've got 3 of those. Okay. Function init toast notification. And let's start with our root element, which is toast notification right here. And then we'll just check to see if the root is there. And now we can scope everything to the parent container. So let's get our buttons now. So we'll say const buttons equals root query selector all. So we'll get the button, or do we want to do it by, actually let's do it by the ID. I feel like that's safer and a little more semantic, right? Okay, so now we have our array of buttons. Okay, so now we start creating elements. And we've done that before. We've done that before. How do we create an element? So I'm just going to look at a past project because I'm just here to tell you that I'm not going to reinvent this wheel, but I do need a little bit of a refresher on how to create elements. So this is the responsive video gallery project. And let's see here. So I create an element. So we define it. So we have our grid, which is the thing that we're inserting it into. So we would define it, document, create. This is the element. And then we would add the class. And then we would probably also we would add the class, toast region. We would have to check and see if the button was the info button. We don't need active. Do we need this ID? I don't think we need this ID. Yes, we do, because that's for the ARIA controls. So we would add the ID. We have to add these attributes, the ARIA live polite and the ARIA atomic true. We have to create the button. We have to insert HTML in order to do the SVG. So we can't do text content. We have to do insert HTML for the SVG. And then we would create an H3 insert with text content and a template literal. And we would create a paragraph tag. Okay, so the outer container that we're creating is the toast region first. But we have to insert it. I'm going to do insert adjacent before end on the toast notification section. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to use append. So let's loop through our buttons. Buttons for each button. And then button, add event listener, click. And then when I click on a button, so what's the content? I think I have to create some content also, right? So we'll say const. I just need to create some strings, right? What's the best way to do that? I mean, I can just put in, I don't have to I think they want us to use template literals though, right? Can't I just do, I need some to be uppercase and some to be lowercase. I'm confused. Okay, let's just do one thing at a time before we worry about the content. So when we click a button, we want to, and we've already got the root, so we can use that, right? So I'm going to say const toast equals root create element div. Root create element div. So we're going to create a div. And then root insert adjacent, I'm going to do before end insert the div. Root insert adjacent before the end toast. We want to put that toast in there, right? We also need to add classes and set some attributes. So we should probably do that first. So toast class list add. What do we need first? Toast region. Toast region. That's our first class. And then what else do we need? We need to class list add. We need to add an ID. How do you add an ID? That's probably just an attribute. Do you just treat it like an attribute? Toast set attribute. I think so. ID. And we'll just start with info toast. So that's definitely going to be a variable, right? We need to be able to define the info, the success, and the error. But let's just get this working first. Can I add more than one class at a time? Like, can I just do toast region info? Can I just do that? Or do I have to do them all separately? We'll find out. I'm going to try it. Okay, what else do we need? We need aria live polite, toast, set attribute, aria live polite, and aria atomic true. Toast, set attribute, aria atomic true. Okay, what else do we need to do here? So next we need to insert HTML into the toast. No, we need to insert, next we need to create a button and insert adjacent before, after beginning. We want it to be at the top right. So it's going to be insert adjacent after beginning. So now let's create our button. We'll say, I'll do btn. And this is going to be I think it's going to be root create element button. Is that right? I think so. And then we're going to add a class of icon button. So we'll say button, class list, add icon button. And then we'll do a type button. So we'll set some attributes, btn, set attribute of type button. Type button class, and then aria label close info toast. So btn aria label close info toast. Whoops, set attribute. Okay. And then this would be, I'm going to button insert adjacent, and I'm going to do after beginning, insert adjacent after beginning. Pretty sure that's right. Let's check. After begin, right here. After begin, and it's going to be after the beginning of the toast. Okay, should we check and see if at least this works? But we also want to make sure that we're clicking on the correct button, right? Yeah, we want to make sure that we're clicking on the correct button. So how do we do that? We do that by getting this attribute, the ID. Well, no, because we haven't created it yet. So we get it by getting the ID of this. No, the ARIA controls. So we need to get the ARIA, we need to get the attribute of the button we just clicked on, which would be this right here. So it would be if button, so we want to get the attribute. If the button, can't we just do button data set? If the button data set ARIA, oh frick, I hate VS Code sometimes. IntelliSense. Okay, button data set ARIA controls. See, we just did this. Equals info toast So if the button dataset ARIA controls equals info toast, then what's different here? What's the only thing that would be different? Well, actually, it would be one of these, right? And it would be the attribute. So we only need to define these for specific attributes. So we would change this to info, and we would do, we could just set this attribute on its own, right? These would all stay the same. Oh, except the button would be this. So do we want to define, do we just want to, I have to think about the best way to do this. Okay, well, let's just start with one thing at a time. We don't even know if any of this works yet, right? So we want to make sure that these things are specific, but we honestly don't even want to do any of this until we click specifically on that button. But we could also just, we could just keep going, right? Do them all. Else if, and then this would be the success toast, success, success, and then this would be, there might be a more efficient way to do this, but let's just start with this. So now, based on whatever button we're clicking, we are creating the toast with our attributes, which is just a div. We are also creating our button. And then we also need to do, we're going to do the button inner HTML, which I know is kind of frowned upon these days. The button inner HTML is going to equal this SVG right here. But there isn't really another way to do that. I mean, there is, but it's complicated, and I'm just going to use inner HTML for the SVG. So there's our inner HTML for the button. Honestly, can't we just do, can we do this also? Does this have to be down here, or can we put it up here too? Does it matter? Does the order matter? I don't think I can do button stuff before I've created the button. So maybe that means that, let's go back here. So maybe we need to do these first, right up here. Maybe we just need to create them right away. And then we can do this. And then this is close success. And then this is close error. Okay. And then we'll get our content in here. Let's make sure that this works, and then we'll get our content in there. So we should see the notification itself. It's got some padding, so it'll have shape, and we'll see our button. What do we think is going to happen? Do we think this is going to work? Okay. Well, clearly I'm stalling. So let's just see what happens. Nothing. Okay, let's check the console log. Div is not defined. Okay, I can handle that. I can deal with that. Toast. Okay, I think I should not have used. Oh, do I have to use document? Am I required to use document here? Div is not defined. Okay, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Does this have to be? There we go. Okay, so our toast regions are being created, but they're not getting the correct classes. So our if statement isn't working. So let's console log this. I don't think it's working, but let's just check. Console log info works. So if we click on the button that has the ARIA controls info toast, we should see this console log. Okay, so that's not working. So the button, hang on, so the button, you can't, so data set does not work for ARIA controls, info toast. Does that not work? Button, data set, ARIA controls, info toast. No. I'm going to Google it. Why am I not getting focus when I open a new tab? Make this a little bigger. Does data set ARIA controls work in JavaScript? The short answer is no. Dataset ARIA controls does not work in JavaScript because the dataset property is reserved for attributes that start with data. Oh, fair. Okay, completely fair. Okay, so how about we just get attribute ARIA controls? So if we do get attribute, does that just return the value? So I can use that instead. So button get attribute equals, can I just do that instead? Get attribute. Do I have to get it first? To read it. Oh, yeah, okay. ARIA controls. Button get attribute ARIA controls, if that equals that. Okay, so I'm just not console logging all of these. So let's console log all of them. I'm sure there's a more efficient way to do this. This is how I'm doing it. You can't get more efficient if you don't even know how to do it to begin with, right? Okay, so there, and we're even changing colors down here. You know what's not happening though? Our button is not getting added. But but I think our other attributes are getting added. So we're getting our correct classes, we're getting our correct IDs. So that's good. And our other attributes are getting added. So that's really good. So now we need to add our content, and we need to, and our button. Why didn't our button get added? Button. Do I need to do, wait, why didn't any of the button stuff work? Button, insert adjacent after the beginning of the toast. We created the button, right? Document create element button. Oh, hang on a second. I did this backwards. So this is toast, insert adjacent button. I think I did that backwards. There we go. Look at us. Look at us. Okay, and here's our button. Okay. So we're totally doing this. Okay, good. Look at this. So we've created our div, we've created our button. And yes, we do have our SVG. Okay, and here's our button, aria label close, our class, our type. Okay, so now we need to do the whole template literal thing, which would probably make this a little more efficient. I don't think we need this down here anymore, which would probably make this a little more efficient. I need to think about this for just a moment. One moment. Let's say hello to a couple of people in the chat. Hello, welcome. Our friend from Paris. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to. Zoqueville? Zoqueville? You're from Paris, so I feel like that's French. This is a French username. Terrible at usernames. I wish we could go back to display names. But hello, welcome. Fran Code. Hello, what website do you use for SVGs? I like to use Ionicons. I like to use Ionicons. I will put this in the chat. I've been using them for a couple of years and I really like them. There is no shortage of great places online to get SVGs. I just happen to like that one. Shohan, I'm going to go with Shohan is here. Hello. Asking for advice about whether they should be a programmer or a doctor. I obviously wouldn't know the answer to that question. So good luck. Flip a coin. Honestly, not sure. Nano Kia is here. Welcome, my friend. And Dante is here. Hello. Welcome. We're having a blast. We're having such a good time today. So, okay. And we're learning a lot. I just love the process of problem solving. It's so satisfying. I think the best part of it is it's not knowing everything, it's knowing how to ask the questions, right? Back in the day, Google could be brutal, but I love it now because I can ask these very specific questions and get the AI specific response. And I like it so much better than asking ChatGPT for help because I think AI is genuinely helpful and genuinely good at answering questions. But in ChatGPT, I tend to get so much more information that I asked for. I just get like this whole like soliloquy on like theory and practice and what I should or shouldn't be doing. And I just think, for the love of the traveling Mary, can you just answer my question? And the Google AI responses are so good. They're so good. They're so specific. So I think that Google is doing a really good job with AI and search results. Yeah, I really like it. So, okay, let's get back to this. So we're not dealing with an API. We're not pulling in data from an API, right? But I can see where it says to use template literals. So that makes sense to me. But I'm just like, well, how do I do that? Am I just going to define? I feel like I should just define some variables. I should just define 3 variables, right? That's what I'm going to do. So we're just going to come up here and define some variables. So I'm just going to say const info, and I'm just going to define a string, and I'm going to do lowercase. And if I need something to be uppercase, we'll deal with it. And so here, we're just going to deal with, that's all I need, is I just need some strings, right? Although we'll do a string for our lorem ipsum, and we'll do a string for our heading. Yes, I'd imagine the template literals would be when you're injecting the HTML, yes. So that's why, yeah, so I think it's a good idea. We'll just define some strings, and then we'll do template literals and put in our content that way. Although if we have all these if statements, I'm like, if I have if statements checking to see what's what, I don't know. We're just gonna, like, why would I use a template literal here if I'm already doing an if statement? Right? That's what I don't, that's, but I don't know. I don't make the rules, right? We'll just go with it. We'll just go with it. I don't know. I just work here. I just work here, okay? Okay. So we'll do heading. How do I do, we'll just do, and we'll do some lorem ipsum. I need some lorem ipsum. This feels like a lot. Let's just do this much. Okay, so now we just have some strings, and we'll use these as template literals. I don't know. If we're doing if statements to figure out which one is which, why do I need template literals? That makes no sense to me. So we'll just do the lorem ipsum, I guess? No, but I don't know. Angela, you're overthinking this. Dante says, I told ChatGPT to answer my question and only my question, no additional context unless I explicitly ask for it. Yeah, I'm too, it's so much work. It's so much work to ask the question and to tell it how to answer the question. That's the problem that I have. I'm lazy, okay? I want to ask the question. I want you to just figure out how I want it to be answered. And right now, Google has that figured out with no additional context. I'm just saying, this is my argument. So, Caffeine Cowboy says, time for a switch case. Time for a switch case. I mean, okay. I've done switch cases before. MDN switch case JavaScript switch. Okay. The switch statement evaluates an expression. Oh, it was saved to memory. That's fair. Listen, I just want to just let me complain about AI, okay? I just want to complain about AI. Okay. I know we're all in the same team, right? We all have things that we love to use that work really well for us. I get frustrated when I have to give a lot of context. I just want you to figure it out. I just want you to know what I'm thinking, which is ridiculous. So, and Caffeine Cowboy says a switch case is easier than if, else, if, else. See, to me, else, if is easier to me, but I can see why you would say that. So we're defining an expression. Okay, so our variable is papayas. And then we do a switch case for the expression. I'll admit this is not easier for me to understand. Give me a chance to work up to this, okay? Give me a chance to work up to this. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. I'm not there. But I promise I will find a way to use a switch case. I'm going to stick with my else if statement. My main point on this is, why do you need a template literal if you are already defining things? So maybe you don't. Okay, so we're not going to worry about the attributes or the classes. We've got those defined. So the template literals are going to be purely for content. Okay, moving on. So let's also create our H3. So I'm just going to call it H3. So that's document. No. I know you don't. I know you don't. That's funny. We all have our preferences, right? I think that's the great thing about being a programmer, developer, whatever. We all have our things that we love to do and that we're comfortable with. And I'll be the first to admit that it's hard to break old habits. It's really hard to break old habits. I get comfy with something and I just don't want to stop using it. And then, oh, this is wrong. This is an H3. I think Flexbox is a great example, not wanting to learn grid. And then, of course, I finally learned grid, and now I love grid. So I think that that's the great example. I promise you, I will practice switch case statements, and I will find a way to do it. And I will probably love it once I figure it out. So I'm going to stick with this because I've already written it and figured it out. And there's that. So, okay, so here's our H3 here. And we've created our H3 and we've created our paragraph. Perfect. We will go ahead and use these template literals. And then if anything needs to be uppercase, we're going to use CSS to do it. So, okay, so let's go here and we'll say the H3 text content should equal well, we would actually want to do this. We would want to do this inside here, right? So this would be the info. See, do you see my point here? Why do we do a template literal? Okay, I'm just going with it. Toast notification. This makes no sense. This makes no sense to me why you would use a template literal if you're already inside of an if statement. Look, info is... Okay, I know what template literals are, so I'm not going to use them. I don't need practice with template literals because I already know what it is. So I'm not going to worry about it. Okay? There. That's it. Okay. And then we're going to say so we want to put it so here we probably would want to use the append. Method inserts a node object or string after the last child of the element. So here's a div, here's a paragraph. So we would put div append paragraph. Is it, wait, so is it inside or is it a sibling? Inserts a set of node objects or strings after the last child of the element. So we would want the after the last child of the element. Oh my God, why doesn't it get focused when I create a new tab? Why? Explain JavaScript append. Okay, so here's a div, here's a paragraph tag, adding a string and an element at the same time. Div, append, hello world, and paragraph tag. So the hello world comes first, so it does put it inside. So we would do div, append. Oh, so maybe we do want to use, instead of, we could do insert adjacent for the toast, but maybe for all of this we do want to stack them up, right? We want to do the button, the H3, and then the paragraph. So it would be, so instead of insert adjacent, we could do toast especially if we can do multiple. We would do toast, button, H3, and the paragraph. That makes sense. And then we could do I think I would just do paragraph, text content, and then I would do equals the lorem ipsum. There you go. There's your template literal. So our H3 is up here. Yeah. Okay, we'll see how it goes. We did it. Okay, so now I think we need to remove. We need to click this button to remove it. Okay, so we're doing pretty good here. We created elements, we injected content. We need to do the timer and remove the DOM nodes. We're going to do the remove next. We've got success, error, info, close button, stacked toasts. We created an element, we appended an element, and we did insert adjacent. We did a freaking template literal, which makes no sense. And now let's do the remove and then we'll do the timer. We got this. We got this. I'm gonna put a space there. Okay. Actually, do this. I'm trying to be efficient. Actually, this append was very handy, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Okay. Remove. So now we need to do an array of our close buttons, which is, I guess we could just loop through the icon button, right? So we'll say const close equals root this is the icon button. Okay, so now we have our array of close buttons. And Dante says, you're never getting over the template literal, aren't you? Well, I don't. Template literals are a good thing. They make perfect sense when you're working with an API, when you have actual dynamic data. And I realize that we do have 3 unique things. My only point is that if you're already piecing all this out based on whatever the thing is, you don't need it. So I think I'm just overthinking. And also, ChatGPT gave me this list of things to think about, right? ChatGPT doesn't know what my approach is. So yeah, it's fine. We're good. Such is the life of a developer, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and for each through our close buttons. So I think we need to do the for each through the close. So let's just do close BT ends to make that a little more specific. So I think we have to do that not inside of, do we have to do that inside of this event listener, or can we start it outside? I think we can start it outside. We do it here, right? So we're going to have 2 event listeners. So we'll have another loop inside. I think close BTNs for each. I do get a little confused on sometimes on the looping. Sometimes I have to have things inside the original event listener and I don't know why. So I'm going to try this and we'll see what happens. So for each button, we'll just call it a close. So this would be close, add event listener, and that's a click. So when we close the button, we are removing. So when we close this button, we are removing the parent container. Is that gonna work? I think it will. So when we remove this button, could we just get it by so we need to get the ARIA label, close info toast. I could see where there could be better planning with this if this was coming from like an API, right? Okay, so when I click on this button, I'm going to get the attribute because I have to. But why do I have to get the attribute? Can't I just like look up and see what the parent container is? So when I click on the button, I'm just removing its parent. That's all I'm doing. So it doesn't matter if it's the info, the success, or the error. Just remove the parent of the thing that I clicked on. So maybe we don't want to loop through the close buttons. We want to loop through the existing toast regions. That's what we want to do, right? And then, yeah, that's what we want to do. So let's change this to regions. Interesting. So we're going to loop through the regions. I'm going to change this to regions, and then this will be the region. And then I'm going to say close equals the region query selector icon button and then when we click on the close button, it's region dot remove, right? Yeah, so we're just removing the thing that we clicked on. Okay, that didn't work. All right, let's console log. So this does it have to be inside of this event listener? Does it even have to be part of this at all? Or is it its own completely separate thing? toast region, regions for each region. Let's just do a console log to make sure that this is even working. To show me the region. Oh, this probably isn't going to exist though. The regions don't exist until we do click on the button. So it does have to be inside the event listener because we create the region by clicking on the button. Got it. So it's not even going to exist. So it has to be here. Okay, we're still not seeing it. Regions for each. Oh, this doesn't exist yet either. That doesn't exist yet either. So we're doing it. You guys, we're literally solving problems. What? Stop it. We did that? Get out of town. Totally makes up for the whole template literal shenanigans. What? Okay. We're killing it today. We're killing it today. Okay. And this all actually makes sense to me. Okay, so I don't think we need this anymore. So let's take this out. So the last thing that we need to do is we need to do this set timeout razzmatazz. I don't know. This doesn't feel too bad to me. I mean, this is like, it is what it is, right? We're still doing it the right way. We didn't add anything that we didn't need. We're using what already exists to figure out what's what. So, I mean, I'm good with this. This doesn't bother me. It's not, see, now that everything's working and I understand it, I'm good with it. So, yeah. Okay. Let's figure out this set timeout thing. Okay, remove, boom, done. Set timeout, append, came in extremely handy. We used append and insert adjacent, create element, good, insert adjacent, good, aria atomic, good enough. Okay, set timeout. Whew, we're almost done. We're almost there. The set timeout method, blah, 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 interface sets a timer which executes a function or a specified piece of code once the timer expires. So set timeout code delay, set timeout function delay. Okay, give me an example here. Show me something. Set timeout. So it is a function. And then this is what, 5,000 milliseconds? So it is milliseconds. So, for example, setting delay to 0 will execute the next event cycle rather than immediately. Okay, code. Function code. The delay is in milliseconds. So would we just wrap the whole thing in a set timeout? Or do I create a function and then do a set timeout? So do I just do the set timeout on this right here? So we create it, but we do a set timeout on just this, or do you do it on the whole thing? Well, if you did it on inserting it, then the delay is on. So you create it, and so I think the set timeout would be on removing it, but this removing is dependent on clicking it. So how do you? So you create it and then you remove it. I feel like you create it and then you remove it. So I don't think you want to do a set timeout on this whole entire thing. I think you just want to do it on I'm confused. I feel like it's gonna come to me though. See, when you only do things with console logs as examples, it's like you're not helping me. Okay. So the set timeout is that it gets removed. So maybe one way to remove something is by clicking it, and then maybe another way to remove something is by the set timeout. So maybe there's two ways that something would get removed. Yeah, I think I bet I came to this conclusion at the same time you were typing this. Maybe a piece of state removed. Let the timer run and remove automatically. If button click, remove state changed and set timeout canceled. Okay, so I think the set timeout happens down here in this regions for each. So you can either close the button or, so I'm going to put the set timeout first. So I'm going to do, so we'll do this, set timeout. Okay, so it's giving me some options here. So I'm going to say, let's go with should we go with 1,000 milliseconds? So the set timeout would be region remove. So what's 1,000 milliseconds? 1 second? 1 second? Question mark. Okay, so if I'm right, then we would see this disappear itself after a second. Yeah. Okay. So let's do 5 seconds. So do you have to explicitly, so Caffeine Cowboy, you said if button clicked, remove state changed, and set timeout canceled. Is it that we have to explicitly cancel the set timeout, or that it just doesn't run because the region doesn't exist anymore? Okay, so here's 5 seconds. So let's, hang on, I want to look in the DOM. Okay, so here's our buttons. But also I can just cancel it. And then nothing happens. There's no set timeout because it doesn't exist. So it just goes away by itself after 5 seconds. Okay, let's do this. JavaScript, how to can. Oh my God. Why am I losing focus? Oh. How to cancel set JavaScript, how to cancel set timeout. Clear timeout. Okay, capture the ID. When you call set timeout, it returns a unique numeric ID. Store this in a variable. Call clear timeout. Pass that variable to clear timeout before the delay finishes to prevent the function from running. Okay, const timeout ID right here. And then we can just make this, I mean, we could, I think 5,000 is 5 seconds, but. So we would clear the timeout inside the click event, right? So we would say const timeout ID, const timeout ID equals the set timeout. And then we would do clear timeout ID. I kind of want to console log the timeout ID. I just want to see it with my eyeballs. Okay, fair enough. I'm good with that. All right, I love it. Thank you for that. Yeah, clear timeout. Excellent. We love this. It wouldn't have even occurred to me to do that. So here's I think our JavaScript now is done. I'm good with our JavaScript. Here's what I would like to do for our CSS. Okay, we don't need this. Let's animate this. So we've got visibility and opacity. But if we're creating an element, I don't know if we can we animate it? I don't know if we can animate, I don't think you can animate creating an element, but if you create it, so this, because the state changes within the CSS, how would I don't know how I would animate that. Just in its creation. Does it matter? Haven't I done enough today? Haven't I done enough today? Do I need to it would be nice though, wouldn't it? To give it an animation. Let's just Google it. Let's ask the Googs. How to animate create element and insert, what is it? What are we doing here? Insert adjacent element. How to animate creating an element. Why am I losing focus? What is happening? Okay, I've completely lost focus. Why? There. I'm having issues today. How to animate create element or, because I'm honestly not sure which one it is. Oh, I should say with CSS. To animate elements created via create element or inserted with insert adjacent using CSS, you generally apply a CSS class containing a keyframes animation to the element. So keyframes is recommended. I would prefer to use a CSS transition. Transitions require a change in state. Since a newly created element has no previous state, you must insert it first and then update its properties in a separate tick using request animation frame. Okay, so executive decision. We are not worrying about animating. That's not the assignment. I already did this nonsense template literals thing that had no impact or had made no sense. I'm done. So let's go ahead. I love it though. Do we love it? I love it. I think it is really cool. So let's go ahead and add this to our UI page, and then we have to add our code, and then we'll go ahead and get things deployed. This was a great task. I loved this. Despite my bitching and moaning about things, I did actually really love doing this. So, okay, let's grab our markup. This is all we need. This is all the markup right here. Thank you. Good stream today. Appreciate that. Okay, let's add this to our UI page. This is day 6, toast notification system. I'll make sure that this is working on that page. I'll just let them go. Love it. All right. Next, we'll go ahead and add our code block. So this is going to be a section with a class of section. And we'll do an H2 with a class of secondary heading. Oops. And this is the HTML. Then we do a pre-code block with a code and a class of language markup. And we are using Prism.js for this. Make this a little bigger. We're using Prism.js for this. And then we'll do another section with a class of section, an H2 with a class of secondary heading. And this is the JavaScript. And we'll do a pre and a code with a class of language JavaScript. All right. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to format this for us. Pull it up here. Please format this markup. All right, and now we'll have it work on our JavaScript. Please format this JavaScript. Okay. All right, here's our HTML. Yeah, the ARIA controls are really important since these buttons are not actually next to. We didn't really test the accessibility though, did we? But they're inside the section. Oh, Angela, you didn't test the accessibility? Okay, well, let's give it a run. This all looks fine. Yeah, this looks good. This was super easy. Don't know what I was so worried about here. Okay, accessibility. So skip to content. Yeah. It makes me think that we should be inserting, we're just inserting everything. I mean, it kind of makes me think that we should be inserting these things. Does that matter though? Because would this be the use case? I mean, would this be the use case for this type of thing? Was the point of this that you would have a UI element with buttons where you're triggering notifications? Or is the whole point of this that you learn how to create a notification, you know things like ARIA controls, like making sure the button is associated with the correct thing? Although I'm questioning if that is even necessary, because the ARIA controls sort of implies that we're controlling something that exists, and we're not. So I'm kind of even questioning that right now. Although, once it is created, we know what it controls. So I don't think it's wrong. I just think it might be unnecessary. But I'm not sure. I think the point of this exercise is, can you create an element, get the correct attributes in, get the correct classes in, style it the way a notification should be styled, dismiss it correctly, either manually or through a timer. I think that was the point of the exercise. So I don't want to overthink this structure too much. I guess that's where I'm landing with this. Because I'm kind of a classic overthinker. And that's never going to change. I am always going to be an overthinker. I just have to decide how much overthinking I'm going to do on any given day. So, okay, so let's go ahead and commit this and get it deployed, and then we're done. And we're right on time today. We're coming in right on time. So, let's see here. Git add. Git commit. Markup, styles, and JS for toast notifications. And we got everything that was on the list done. We did everything on the list. So, okay. Excellent. Let's go grab FileZilla. And we'll get her deployed. Okay, so this was day 6. We also updated our components and our UI components and our style.css. Close our connection to the server. And I'm going to close that because I'm a little superstitious when it comes to opening a production site. I want to close down everything local. So here's 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, toast notification system. There it is. I love it. I love it. Thumbs up. Big thumbs up. All right, let's make sure everything's working here. Beautiful. We did it. We did it. We got another one done. Day 6. Rayhan is here. Hello. Welcome, Rayhan. Thanks for coming to hang out. Thanks for coming to hang out. Yeah, thanks to everybody who is here today. Dante, Caffeine Cowboy, Malik Robinson was our mod in the chat. Jack McCreatives was here. Who else was here? Fran Code Bird was here. Shohan was here. Our friend from Paris was here. Yeah, this was a good one. I liked it. Day 6, 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript in the books. Come back tomorrow, day 7. We're going to work on a filterable list. Yes, looking forward to that. Hey, do me a favor. If you haven't yet, go ahead and like the video. I would appreciate it so much. Helps the algorithm, helps push this type of content out to more people who might be interested in front-end development. Subscribe if you're not already. I would love to have you. I'll be here every day in April practicing my JavaScript. Normally, though, I'm here for about 4 days a week, so I'm still around fairly regularly. Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. So there's that. You're welcome, Dante. Thank you. Thanks for coming to hang out. Appreciate you. Everybody, have a great rest of your day wherever you are. I will see you tomorrow for the filterable list. Mwah. Bye.